Hi, I want to use this session to actually approach a controversial subject. I've been doing these videos now for 6 months, so if you're still here, then maybe I can start to introduce the topics that get get a lot of comments, shall we say. And this particular one is something close to my heart because I actually studied this for my dissertation in my master's degree. There's a book on it which I haven't published yet, but I must get out. It's called The Sex Life of the Sun, which is an eye-grabbing title. But anyway, I actually studied the gender and the sexuality and sexual preferences of deity. And I ran it all the way through all of the big civilizations of the past, going back into history. And I recognize that after the dwarf planets were discovered, and there were so many androgynous or non-binary characters, that we were going to experience a change in attitudes to non-binary or androgynous. And in fact, I was pleased to see that we are perhaps getting to the point where we can accept that God, anybody's God, any religion's God, it has both masculine and feminine, male and female parts. Now, I want to separate off some words here so that we can understand what I'm talking about. So, yes, we have male and female, and what we have done, going over thousands of years, is we have wanted to put or pigeonhole deity so that it is a woman or it's a man. And the Italians, the Romans did a really good job of that because they are responsible for naming the planets. And and so we got into really tight boxes, well boundaried, with respect to this is a man, this is a woman, and that's it. However, going back before then, many of the gods, now goddesses, gods, many of the deities um, had both sexual parts. They could have breasts, they could have genitals. There is one beautiful piece of art with Isis with an erect phallus. There was the boundaries weren't so rigid. There was a fluid approach to these things, and I think there was an understanding that deity couldn't really be a pigeonholed as masculine, or sorry, as male or female. Okay. And in fact, we've got deities that self-create, and we've got deities that have both a womb and a phallus, and it goes all over the place. Some we have myths where the children are held in the mouth of a masculine character, for instance, a male character. So there's all different types of things, and even in nature, actually, when I was studying it, um, I think there is one particular type of shark that if it doesn't, if they don't come across likely partners of the opposite sex, they then can self-generate. I can't remember the name of that shark. I did this in 2004. But anyway, so to get back to the point, so we have labeled, for instance, the planet Venus as a clear Barbie doll female. If you look around the internet, that's the impression you'll get. However, if you go back to Babylonian times, that was not the case. The pronoun could either be he or she, and Venus could either be in a very masculine or male orientation or a feminine female. Now, we get a little bit of difficulty here, and it gets confusing because when we look at the the structure of our world, our cosmos, our universe, we have at the beginning there is a unity, a oneness, and out of that comes the polarity, and one side is masculine and one side is feminine. Those are the names that we have given them. However, that doesn't mean male or female. Masculine means moving outwards, being obvious, and rushing forwards, let's say, just putting it simply. And feminine means holding back, being a little bit timid, shy, being hidden, hiding, the dark or the light, if you want to put it like that. And so it was quite possible for the sun in some cultures to have masculine and feminine aspects, as in male and female aspects. The sun could be either, and that seemed to satisfy what I look at now when I look at the astrology and how the energy works. I suppose I could say, oh, well, we certainly get masculine force from the sun, but there is evidence that there is some feminine or yin aspects to that. So I was intrigued when a few years ago we got an outpouring from the Indigo children. So this is the ones born between 1987 and about 1996, where they wanted to break down all the barriers and completely change the cultural and societal image of the boxed woman and the boxed man, and never the two shall be exchanged. As we are all aware now, they broke down all of those barriers and came out with a range of different identities. Non-binary most certainly describes the androgyny, what we called androgynous years ago, where they don't identify as completely as a male or completely as a female, where there are aspects of both. And I think that is absolutely in line with the spiritual essence and the spiritual energy or force that I am fully aware of as an astrologer, teaching and using the astrology I use. I absolutely get that planets can have been given the names of women or females. I'm going to give you one straight away, Pluto. So Pluto was given, I'll do it the other way around. Pluto was given the name of a male god, right? It is absolutely a feminine or yin planet. And I can go on like that. Neptune, a male god. Actually, that is a feminine water planet, very clearly one. And so there has been a distortion of our understanding of the spiritual nature of the planets and their powers and forces and influences in terms of being identified as male or female. And that's created, it's held us back, actually. It's created a lot of confusion. The influence obviously comes out of the influence of monotheistic religions. And that influence goes back to a time when patriarchy became very powerful and matriarchy was in decline. And at that time, around that time, we had the formation of the monotheistic religions. And so that identification was all packaged up and came with the religion. So you've got Mother Mary and a male god, if we look at the Christians, just as an example. Okay, we really, if you want to understand the spiritual forces that make up those forces which underpin our dimension, then you're going to have to let go of that thinking because it holds you back from an exploration of these energies and deities. It holds you back from a real understanding of them. And it holds you back, actually, as far as I'm concerned, from understanding astrology at a much deeper level. Because if I continued, for instance, to consider that Neptune was a male god and a male planet, and Pluto was the same, then I have got an enormous amount of confusion and conflict in my head as to what Pluto means and what Neptune means. Once you can dump all of that preconditioning and you can accept the androgynous or non-binary effect and nature of the gods and the planets, then it relaxes the whole world. Suddenly, right, now I can see that this can be this and that can be that. Oh, this explains this. I love the way Egypt used to do this. I mean, just thinking of one Happy, who was the god who announced the flooding of the Nile. So he would announce when the waters were running down from the mountains and heading towards the Mediterranean coast, but obviously they would go to the floodplain and they would bring all the water that Egypt needed for its crops. And so it was completely and utterly part of life. If they didn't get the water, they would all die. So it was just totally and utterly their life, really, this flooding of the plain. And the I'm going to say God, goddess, deity that introduced that and was in charge of that was Happy, who had a full breasts, and also was had male genitalia, etc. So you just, I think it's just interesting to be able to let go of that and say this androgynous non-binary figure was part of the the energy, the water of life that brought life to the Egyptians, and not tie that down to he brought life, she brought life. I say it, but obviously you could say they. I get confused by that sometimes, so I say it. And it brings the life, and then we can get a deeper understanding of the way that the spiritual should be honored, appreciated, coming out of the understanding of what caused it, what brought life. And then we can, I think, get a better understanding of these energies. Okay, so there we go. I didn't do any astrology, just thought I'd cover that, and hope it was useful. If you can write something rude in the comments if you want, that's fine. So I'm used to it. I've been around so long, honestly, there's nothing you can say that I haven't seen or heard already. When you get to be an astrologer, honestly, then you get a tough skin. You get used to the look of horror when people say, "What do you do for a living?" "Oh, I'm an astrologer." You just kind of get used to it. There we go. Thank you very much. I'll see you tomorrow, and I'll do some astrology tomorrow for those that have missed it. There was nothing to look at today. Don't worry, you haven't missed a thing. We're going into the dark of the moon. We're at the slack water, it's nearly at slack water, so it's okay. Loads of it tomorrow. All right. Hope that was good, and I'll see you then. Thank you. Bye.